Hello and welcome to a session of Zombies in Life. I'm Andrew and here with Jonah, and we're going to be talking today about Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, so we're kind of going to be talking about the whole debate between Xbox One and PS4 regarding like certain features that they're offering or not offering, or limitations that they're going to be implementing as far as like game requirements, internet requirements, using the Kinect or not, and that's kind of what we're going to be discussing. We're going to start with the Xbox One, like obviously because that's the one where all the controversy has been, centered around. Like I know you've done some research as far as that, Andrew. So like, what kind of things, is the Xbox One offering or not offering that kind of is the controversy?
Yeah. So the first one that comes to mind is, it's not so much of a big deal, I guess, in the long run, but they require you to have the Xbox Kinect, which comes with the console. But the issue with that came up with their, I believe it's called the Always On feature, which requires the Kinect to always be on so that you can tell it to be like Xbox on or whatnot. So it's apparently always going to be on. And then there was some leaked information. I don't know, how reliable it is, the internet, but it was saying that, since the Kinect is always on, it's like always watching and apparently, always recording or whatnot. So some people have a scare with that. I personally don't know, how true that is, but that was a concern.
I thought that was a parody video somebody did, like always on, always watching, like the Xbox.
Yeah, well, I think they did it. That always on, always, that's a legitimate deal. The Kinect is always on. In order for you, obviously it has to be sensing in order to hear you say Xbox on. So that apparently never shuts off. Of course, I'm sure it was taken out of proportion. So
yeah, I personally don't like that. Like I don't like being restricted to having to say to some, tell a machine to turn on, or having to do something like that. Like I want to be able to just like press a button or press the button on my controller, or do something but which I'm sure might still be there.
I get the impression it's optional. I mean, of course.
I don't see why
you crack open a box or whatnot, but.
Yeah. But I don't see why then they would require it. So I think that that's actually the deal, though, is that you can't press a button to turn it on. Like you have to have the Kinect, which is kind of a pain in the butt because now you can't. Now it's the setup is more complicated.
Yeah, if that's the case, it'd be a little bit annoying. I mean,
moving the Xbox around is going to be more complicated.
Yeah,
that's my concern. But like, that's not really a deal breaker. Like, we're kind of just putting holes at it, but
that's true.
It is annoying though. Like, you can chalk one up on the list of annoying things that it has. That's fun. What round is it? Round 2? Oh, we didn't mention what we're playing on. Like obviously, it's anybody that knows this game and that I just died. We're playing on the farmhouse level in Black Ops 2. I guess. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Black Ops 2 farm level survival, I think.
Yeah, we're playing survival. We're not playing the grief or whatever where you are against each other. Although we should have done that because then I could you killed and then win.
Yeah, we're trying to survive long enough to actually have a fun time here.
Yeah, I know. We were talking earlier, we were like, well, we're probably just going to start a match and then die and be like, well, guys, that was it, because we died in 30 seconds.
Still new to Black Ops 2 Zombies. And we still get off track.
Yeah, I know. We're totally... Alright, so the next thing about the Xbox One, which, was announced at its, announcement from Microsoft. They were talking about how it would have to be connected to the internet at least once a day in order for you to play games, like just normal single-player games. Like you'd have to connect to the internet, which a lot of people were very bothered by because, for obvious reasons. Like, so what if you go to your grandma's house and she doesn't have internet?
Yeah,
you can't take you can't take your Xbox with you. There's just a whole host of reasons why that's bullcrap. But I mean, that was one of the major deal breakers for me. I was like, there's no way. They've since, however, removed that. They announced, I don't know if it was today or if it was yesterday. They announced that they're no longer going to be going with that, and that all Xbox games will be able to be played offline without being connected to live, like, you know, in any certain time frame.
The option that actually makes sense.
Yeah, the one that it just doesn't make sense. Like they were talking about a whole bunch of features that would be included or why it would be beneficial, and I'm thinking none of that really outweighs the fact that I can't take my Xbox somewhere without connecting it to the internet.
Yeah.
Like it's just not, you know, it's not a good alternative for me to be able to like play certain features online. You know, have persistent worlds online or whatever it is that they were talking about.
Yeah.
For single player games, I understand if it's multiplayer based, I understand that. Like obviously you have to have an internet. But if I'm just playing like whatever game it happens to be, Halo 5 or some crap, and I want to play single player.
Yeah, or Fable even, you know.
Well,
like,
yeah.
You don't even need to be online for that. I mean, sure, no one can join you in game, but
yeah, like obviously
your goal
it's
is to
fun.
play single player anyway, you know.
Exactly. So that feature that's actually been revoked, so that's not bad. Like I'm like, all right, they listened to community feedback, and as I said to you before, they were really just hitting the panic switch. They're like, abort on that one. We're not gonna
fail.
Abandon ship. The zombies are not dying in one shot.
I'll wait till I get the goblin rifle.
Oh yeah. Are you saying? Yeah, I'm almost there too.
Yeah. So the third issue, and I believe the last one, hopefully, for Microsoft, the Xbox One was that the whole idea of sharing games had been limited to one person. So apparently, if you went out, bought a game, or downloaded it, you'd get 2 downloads with it, and you could download obviously one on your Xbox, and then if you wanted to share it, you could only share it with one other person. Otherwise, I guess the the download count timed out and wouldn't allow you, to share it with anyone else. But apparently that was also altered recently, and they're saying that it's going to be free sharing as well. So a lot of these concerns are still up in the air as to whether or not they even if we still need to worry about them, if they still exist, or if they're actually being handled.
Yeah, well, I think what it was originally is that you would have to download every game that you bought to the hard drive itself, which I was thinking like, okay, how big is this hard drive? Because you're going to be downloading a lot of games if you're like me and you buy a lot of games.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's still the case, but I can see how that would make it easier for them to police it. Like, if you have to download every game to the hard drive, they put a DRM or a software on the game itself so where it can only be downloaded to 2 hard drives. So I can see how that would be implemented.
Yeah.
Now they're not doing that, but I don't know if you still have to download it to your hard drive or not.
Yeah.
So
I guess I understand. You don't want people just endlessly sharing games either, but
But you still have to have the disc in the console in order to play the game. So it's not like your friend can borrow it, download it, hard drive, play it.
It still doesn't make sense.
That's the thing.
It's kind of like Microsoft was just like, they wanted to change things, so they just were like, hey, this hasn't been played with yet. Let's just make up some BS rule for this.
I honestly think it was just a greediness issue. Like they were like, there's a lot of money being lost by them on used games, like it's undebatable. Like if you play a game and then sell it back to GameStop and GameStop sells it to someone else, GameStop's making all the money on that, right? Whatever the developer or Microsoft or whoever doesn't make money a second time when the game is sold a second time. Like it's bought once. Now, if in their situation, everyone would have to buy their own game.
Yeah, so
So they'd be making bank off that. So like, I honestly can't blame them as a corporation, but it's kind of like a jerk move towards their consumers. Like,
yeah, especially if if you go to download it and say something goes wrong. I've had games that haven't downloaded properly in the past or whatever, and then like if you download it 2 times and for whatever reason need to download it again, maybe due to some error with your Xbox, or maybe you got a new Xbox or something and you don't want to or can't move the hard drive over. It's like why Microsoft? But anyway, there are a lot of positives. We're picking apart at the negatives.
It's a non-issue now because it's been removed. So really, we should stop harping on it because it's not an issue.
True.
But so yeah, so that's
Apple fanboys.
Well, we're still hating just for the sake. I like Microsoft though. I always have Microsoft stuff, and like I haven't really converted over to the whole Apple thing. But that's not what this debate.
You lost child. Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know. Like I think was there a fourth item on the?
I think that was it as far as major concerns about the the Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, one it's not really an issue, but it's just I guess another kind of stingy move on Microsoft's part is they have a lot of games coming out, but they always have, but more so I think this time around that are Xbox exclusive. So it's not going to be on the PS4, and it's going to encourage players to only buy or to buy in addition to their PS4 to get the Xbox. So but that's not really necessarily an issue. That's just kind of the way it's always done. And
yeah, that's happened before. Halo is that. Like, you can't buy Halo on anything else. You can't buy Gears of War on anything else. So that's kind of, I can kind of understand why they did that. That's not really, that's a forgivable kind of like corporate.
Yeah, it's kind of like a business move that you're like, all right, I guess I get it.
Yeah, it's like at least it's still available, and at least yeah, whatever. And it's always been like that too. Like Nintendo only makes games on their own systems. Nobody gives them crap for it. So really,
yeah, that's true.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So like I said, that's not really a problem. It's just
Now, on the other side with the PS4, all these issues that we mentioned with the Xbox, all the controversy and all that, none of that's going on with the PS4. PS4 is kind of like keeping their head down and doing the same thing they did with PS3.
Yes, and that's partially due to the fact that PS4 is keeping their whole network and their way of running things pretty much the same, which I mean, it works. So in that respect, I love the fact that they didn't just play around with stuff that they knew that worked. But for anyone who was expecting some dramatic change, I guess that could be a con of the PS4, and that it's going to be relatively the same as far as
It's not particularly innovative like the Xbox One is touted to be. Like, which I mean, honestly, that's a good thing about the Xbox One is it's going to be radically different.
Yes, and actually,
the hardware.
Like actually comparing the two models with each other, we can hopefully start talking about positives now for the Xbox One.
Exactly, the Xbox One has a lot of good stuff, and when I heard about it, I was like, "What? This is gonna be amazing!" How many servers did they say? They said they had like 300,000 servers now or something.
Yeah, that they're bumping it up from it. I believe it's 15,000 now, or maybe it was 30,000 for the current. For the Xbox 360, that's how many servers they had to support Xbox Live, and keep things up and running. And now they apparently, with the advent of the Xbox One, they're bumping it up to
a ridiculous number of servers. And the things they were talking about that they'd be able to do with that were incredible. They'd be able to sustain like persistent worlds over the internet. So that's like if you have an MMO, you can, which they're gonna have, like the Elder Scrolls Online, you can play that on the Xbox One and the PS4, I believe. But they can, with their servers, they can sustain a persistent world, just like they would on a computer on the Xbox. You can sign and have the same world. And it's not necessarily just that game too. There's a lot of cool games that are coming out.
And as far as the PlayStation 4, I honestly don't know what they have servers-wise, but
yeah, it's probably something comparable because they're doing the Elder Scrolls Online with the PS4 as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it's similar.
But
they
at the same
do
time,
harp on that, so it's kind of up in the air with them.
but they didn't give like a huge set of figures about like how many servers they've upgraded like since the last announcement. So that was impressive on Microsoft's part.
So kudos to Microsoft. Another thing, and basically, almost this whole conversation could be summed up with 2 words: entertainment and gaming. And that's to say that pretty much exclusively the PS4 was made for gamers. They even say so if you go to Sony's main page. It says made for the gamers, by the gamers kind of deal. And they really focused on making your gaming experience the top priority of the PS4. Whereas the Xbox, and not to say that any of these are wrong, but just they went in 2 different directions. The Xbox was focusing on making their system, and also their system is the next generation of entertainment. So, and you see that as far as their hardware is concerned, and as far as the promo videos for the Xbox One, in that they're showing, that Kinect is a requirement. They have this new, I guess it's not new, they actually had it for the Xbox 360, but now they're apparently improving on it and whatnot. But they have smart glass, Xbox Smart Glass, which allows you to have some control over your Xbox with your whatever touch screen you prefer, your handheld tablet or
which is really cool, honestly. Like,
yeah. And honestly, like, I don't know what all it does, but I just saw that and I was like, oh, it's cool. I don't. But so that. They're working on that. They made it so it streams, movies better, and with the Kinect, obviously that improves your user interface, so it's more family friendly. It has a lot of they added on online searches, so it has a lot of capability now to run online searches, whereas before online, they were using Bing. Their online search engine was basically to find music or other games and whatnot. So
yeah,
it's kind of a half online experience. But so they bumped that up, and
it seems like they're kind of taking a stab at the entire entertainment industry. Like they said in their announcement videos, like the Xbox One would become like your set-top box, like for cable. Like, so they're gonna like obviously be setting up with cable companies to run TV through the Xbox One. They've already, with Xbox 360, you can already watch Netflix through it. But like they're gonna have that. They're trying to kind of set it up as an alternative to Apple TV, Google TV, cable companies. Like, they're kind of taking a stab at everybody trying to get that business, which, I mean, it's a business move. I can't say I blame it.
Yeah, and I think it's a neat concept. I mean, having an all-in-one,
definitely,
device that can really do, everything that you'd want is very appealing,
I think that kind of is everybody's vision of the future, is that everybody's going to have, like, this one box that does everything. Like, which
I think was what Microsoft was going for, Not to say that they've abandoned games, but if you look at the hardware and what they've done, I think they put, the brunt of their focus into making this more functional as far as, its variety of.
Yeah, it's the system of the future, and that's kind of, I think that's a cool move to. That's a cool direction to go in, like, honestly. Yeah, that's kind of something that's something the PS3 was. Like, when Sony came out with the PS3, they were talking about how it's a Blu-ray player. You can watch Netflix, you can, do all these other things with it, and that's kind of something they haven't done this time around. They're kind of sticking with their formula for PS3, which worked tremendously well. But they're bumping up the hardware. The power on these systems is ridiculous. Like. And
that's actually another thing that you brought up. Blu-ray is, I'm very happy that the Xbox One will be able to play Blu-ray DVDs.
The Xbox 360 should have been, like, it was already a DVD player, but it should have been.
Yeah, but the PS4, like I said, there aren't drastic many changes, but the way they tried to improve on things as far as their gameplay, which is pretty much all I can talk about as far as the PS4, is that they didn't have the inspiration to make it as multifunctional, I guess, if that's the right word.
They already had that, I guess. That's kind of the deal there.
The way they worked on gaming is they worked a lot on being able to. They worked a lot on sharing. In fact, they even have a specific sharing button on the PS4 controller, which will allow you to just instantly form an instant stream, apparently, on an account that you make online. And it'll allow other players to be able to view you with the simple hit of a button. And then they also...
I'm down here.
They also, of course, worked on graphics. If you look at the hardware, they're very similar as far as how they run, but I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that the PS4 has a higher graphics card. So, not to say that graphics aren't nice all around, but they're pretty much specifically used for gaming, and you can see that in the PS4 that their focus was pretty much strictly gaming, and they are pushing that PS Vita a little bit, but they tried to get the PS Vita in there as well. I'm trying to put you there, Jonah, but it's
alright, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel bad for the PS4 right now because we're talking a lot about the Xbox, but the way the PS3 was run was a pretty solid way of going about doing things, and the PS4, for the most part, is sticking with that plan.
Yeah, and it's a very lucrative business model anyway. Like they're kind of not fixing it if it ain't broke, and I think that's honestly a solid move. Like, at least just for one generation to the next. Like, if we're talking about over like 5 generations, they haven't changed anything, there's kind of a problem. But we're not seeing that here. Like, it's definitely them trying not to make the same mistake as Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about trying to blaze the trail and create a new system. I give credit to Microsoft for doing that because obviously you're trying to make a new system, and with that you're gonna hit a couple bumps in the road, as obviously Microsoft's done. But I am encouraged to believe that if Microsoft is willing to listen to the players and the community, that hopefully it'll be a large experimenting process, and Microsoft would be willing to change some of their more extreme,
Which they have done. I think I commend them for listening to feedback from the community. Like, there's a lot of people that were not happy about what they were doing.
Yeah, understandably so.
Some might call it backpedaling, and I mean that's kind of what it is. But they're just trying to save. They're just trying to save their business. Like, they don't want to lose all the customers that they had, and I think that's good. That they don't want to alienate anyone. Because I think at the end of the day, I think we kind of all forget that these are just big corporations. Everybody that makes games and stuff, everybody that makes these consoles, they're corporations. And when they actually listen to you and take your feedback into consideration, like instead of just going with their whatever business plan, whatever they said in a meeting that they would do, I think that's cool. I think it's kind of, they actually kind of step out of that corporate mindset, and they kind of be like, oh well, these people would actually like this better, not just because they're probably going to make the same amount of money. Honestly, like,
yeah,
people probably still would have bought the Xbox One. Honestly, like I don't even know that I am, but I think it's just because I'm out of that phase of life where I'm probably not going to buy the next one. Like, I'm probably just going to. But they got a lot of customers like growing up, or who are still in the high school, or who are still in college and stuff that are gonna buy it still. I think people are still gonna buy the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm. And in that respect, as far as their choice to make the Xbox more functional, I think that idea in itself is a step in the right direction, because like you said, Jonah, I don't know necessarily if I'm actually going to purchase any one of these two systems, just due to the fact that, you know, I'm almost phasing out of the video game, you know, era, you know, for at least my generation. So with Xbox's decision to, you know, make their system an entertainment system as opposed to just, you know, Sony's move to make it strictly a powerful gaming engine, you know, they went to making it almost a family console.
Yeah, true.
Where, you know, the whole thing about Kinect is, it's almost like it's similar to how I feel about the Wii, where, you know, no hardcore games are necessarily going to come out for, you know, for the Kinect most likely, but, you know, it'll be like a compatibility device, you know, useful.
Yeah.
You know, basically.
Well, and the Wii has so much, like, you know, has so many good games, so much potential as a family and friends kind of console, and like I love it for that. Like, I love Super Smash Brothers. I love Mario Party. Like, those are amazing. That's what Nintendo does it best, I think. Like, you're not gonna see people playing like competitive Call of Duty on the Wii or the Wii U or something. You know, you're not gonna see big games like that coming out on it.
And I think that's what Microsoft was going for, is, you know, to be able to make it, you know, more functional with that Kinect feature.
Yeah, and I think PS4 is kind of going in the opposite direction. They're kind of trying to be more kind of hardcore for the hardcore gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't a bad. That's a huge market anyway. Like, it's not a bad move.
Yeah, which also just kind of goes to show that they're still kind of sticking with what works. You know, they're like, you know, first-person shooters are the craze right now, so we're gonna make, you know, our systems, you know, work for first-person shooters and serious gamers.
I think it seems that I've died again.
I went down as well.
Well, we both died. But I mean, I guess it's just as well, because we're kind of out of things to talk about, aren't we?
That's true.
Alright, well, thanks for listening, and I hope you'll tune in next time.